Okay, this is the next video in our continuation of our AWS practice series, and we are covering the questions from examtopics.com website, and we are covering the AWS certified cloud practitioner exam question. So let's try to cover like next 15 to 20 question. So a company that has multiple business unit want to centrally manage and govern its AWS cloud environment. The company wants to automate the creation of AWS account SCP. So as soon as just read the half question, like they want to manage multiple accounts or automate the creation of AWS account or the SCP. All this comes under the AWS organization. It's not the cost of it's not the budget, it's not the trust, so it's the AWS organization. So answer is A. Which IT controls do AWS and the customer share according to the AWS shared responsibility model? So basically, according to the AWS share responsibility model, which thing can be controlled by the AWS and the customer both. So it's not only the customer, not the AWS, but that is a both AWS and the customer responsibility, and we need to select the two. Physical and environment controls. So physical control is just the AWS, I think. Patch management. Patch management, we can say it's both the AWS and the customer, because if it is a guest operating system, then the customer needs to update. If it is like their operating system, Amazon, then the AWS needs to be. So patch management. Cloud awareness and training. So cloud awareness training, it could be like both responsibility, because the AWS will train their own employees and customer has the responsibility to get the training. Zone security, it is only the AWS responsibility. Application data encryption, so that is our application, it is customer responsibility, it's not the AWS. So both responsibility come under the B and the C. So B and C. Next question. A company is launching an application in the AWS cloud. The application will use Amazon S3. The large team of researchers will have shared access to the data. The company must be able to recover data that is accidentally overwritten or deleted. Which S3 feature? So they said like they are storing the data in S3, but and it is this bucket is shared among very large number of people, and there could be high chances like if one of the people can delete the data, if accidentally deleted, if it got deleted, like how they can recover. So if we use the S3 versioning, S3 versioning is like, let's suppose you put something into the S3 bucket and you put one more thing, it will create a version. It is not going to overwrite the same thing. So it will keep the previous version as well. It will keep like create the new version. And because of S3 versioning, even if you delete, it will delete it as a version. So you can restore the version. So not the server access login, not the lifecycle rules, not the encryption. It's the S3 versioning. So vote for B. A manufacturing company has a critical application that runs at a remote site. So the application is running at a remote site, but it has a very slow internet connection. The company wants to migrate the workload to the AWS. The application is sensitive to latency. So it is very sensitive to latency and interruption in connectivity. So it can like interrupt anytime. The company wants a solution that can host the application with minimum latency. All right. So which AWS feature? So availability zones, we can't use that because their application is running on the remote, and the application is very sensitive, and it could be connectivity issue. Local zones, okay, wavelength and AWS outpost. So out of like these four, so like AWS outpost means like whenever you want to run AWS services on your own premises, then we can use the AWS outpost. So local zone is also to increase the latency for your application. So you can deploy your application in the local zones. So wherever the user, they will get the low latency. But the problem is the latency is also the problem, but the connectivity is also the problem. All right. So the best solution as per me is the outpost, because if they deploy the AWS service in their own premises, then there should not be any connectivity issue. So option number D looks correct to me, but they said B, but most of the people voted for the D. So most of the people voted for the D, and some people voted for the B as well, but I will go with the D. So, but if you think it could be B, you can tell me the reason, and maybe I will change my mind. A company wants to migrate its application from its own premise data center to a VPC. So they want to migrate from on premises to VPC. The application will need access on premises resources. Which action will meet this requirement? So they want to migrate its application from on-premises data center to VPC. These application will need access on premises. So basically, they just want to migrate the application. Maybe data is on the on premises. So how the application and the data will like communicate, because data is on the on premises and application on the VPC or AWS. So how they can communicate? Which two requirement we need to do? We need to select the two options. Use AWS service catalog to identify a list of on premises. No. Create a VPN connection between on premises device and the virtual private gateway. So it looks correct. Cloud front distribution, no. Direct connectivity, definitely. It is like on premises and the VPC connectivity. Use Amazon cloud front, so no. So B and D looks okay to me. So B and D is the most worried. They said A and D, A D looks wrong. B and D looks okay. So let's go with the next question. So just wait for a minute. Okay, next question. A company want to use the AWS cloud to provide secure access to desktop application that are running in a fully managed environment. Which AWS service should the company use to meet the this requirement? So basically, a company want to use the AWS cloud to provide secure access to the desktop application. So they want to access the desktop application. So which one they can use? Amazon S3, wrong. And AppSync is for the GraphQL. Outpost, just to if you need the AWS service on premises, or only an option left is Amazon AppStream 2.0. Even if you Google it, Amazon AppStream. So Amazon AppStream is a, if you open this, so it is secure, reliable, and scalable access to application and non-persistent desktop from any location. So that is the correct answer. Option number B is the correct answer. Even so many people, maybe someone people like they have give the provided the links as well. So that is the correct answer. A company wants to implement threat detection on its AWS infrastructure. However, the company doesn't want to deploy additional software. So it's okay. AWS also provides some of the service. So for the threat detection, we have the guard duty. VPC is not a threat detection. EC2 is not, direct connect is not. So we have the guard duty. C is the correct answer. Which AWS service uses edge location? So which service uses the edge location? Aurora is a database, no. Connect, Amazon Connect, Outpost, on no. So AWS Global Accelerator is which is used to make your service very highly available. So how they make the highly available? They use the concept of the edge locations. So option number B looks correct. A company needs to install an application in a Docker container. Which AWS service eliminates the needs to provision and manage the container? Also, they want to spin up some Docker application, but they don't want to provision the like EC2 instance or host. So we have two options. One is the ECS and one is the Fargate. So this is wrong. B and D is wrong, because in the D is EC2 is means like you are provisioning host. So FSX is the file sharing. So this is wrong. So one is the Fargate and one is the ECS. But the difference is if you use the ECS, you can use the Docker container application, but in this you have to provision the the basically at the back end, like the host will provision. But in the AWS Fargate, the host will not going to provision. You will not able to see. So A is correct. Fargate is correct. So they said C, but A is correct. Which AWS service or feature check access policy and offer actionable recommendation to help user to set secure and functional policy? So which AWS service or feature check access policy and offer actionable recommendations? So which service will give? So system manager, trusted advisor, guard would say the IAM access analyzer. So IAM access analyzer will like access analyze your like roles and the policy and will give you the recommendation. So B is the correct answer. So one people like give the link as well. So if you open this link, so translate. So they said IAM access analyzer implements additional policy check to validate policy condition as they are created. You may make it permission but providing more than, so it will also give you the recommendation during the policy creation process. So this looks okay. So next question. Okay. A company has a fleet of cargo ships. Okay. The cargo ships have sensor that collect the data at sea, where there is a intermittent or no connectivity. So there they have some ships, a company ship, and on the ship there we have some sensor, and the ship in the ocean. So there should be no connectivity or very less connectivity. But the company wants to need to collect the data and format the data and process the data and move the data to the AWS later. So which service the company should use? So let's try to eliminate. Is the Amazon Light Sail? No, Amazon Light Sail is, I mean, different, like a kind of a cloud portal only. So AWS IoT Core, by using the sensor, you might think of the AWS IoT Core, but the AWS IoT Core are the like the Alexa. You have the Amazon Alexa, but for the Amazon Alexa, it should be connected with the Wi-Fi. All right, but they have said it should be no internet connectivity. So IoT devices are those devices which we connect, and it will like collect the data using some sensor and then send, because they have some like a internet connectivity. But they said they have no internet connectivity. So sensor point, if we go only through sensor, then IoT core could be correct. But if it's but they said there is no connectivity, so it's look wrong. Storage gateway, no, storage gateway is like just to like for the on premises to the like cloud. Now the AWS Snowball Edge. So Snowball is a kind of a service. You can collect the data and then you can like transfer the data later on. So that's the same thing which we need. We are collecting the data and we can move the data to the AWS later. So D looks correct. So D is the even most voted. A retail company needs to build a highly available architecture. So it's a highly available architecture for e-commerce platform. The company is using only AWS service that replicate data across multiple availability zones. Which AWS service should the company use to meet the requirement? We need to choose two. So EC2 is wrong because the company using the AWS that wants to replicate data. So it's wrong. And so for the data EC2 is wrong. Redshift is also wrong. So Redshift is just a warehouse. And now with the EBS Aurora and the DynamoDB. So Amazon Aurora and the Amazon DynamoDB is very highly available because these are like multi-AG and they can replicate the data. So C and D looks correct. So C and D looks correct, but they said AB. AB looks wrong to me. C and D looks correct. Even most of the people said C and D. Which characteristics of the AWS cloud helps user eliminate underutilized CPU? So underutilized CPU means like if you are not using the CPU, you can release that. So which service is that? That is the elasticity. If we want, we can increase. If we don't want, we can release. So that is the elasticity property. So B looks correct. Service control policy manage permission for which of the following? So as soon as I see the concept of the SCP concept only and only use in the AWS organization. So C looks correct. Which AWS service can be used to encrypt the data at rest? So at rest means like your data is stored at somewhere, so it is resting. That was it is rest. So in transit means you're transferring the data, and while transferring the data should be encrypted. So guard duty wrong. Guard duty is just a service to detect the malware. AWS Shield is wrong. It is just to like you can say to prevent for the DDoS attack. Security hub is also wrong. Security hub is a central place which will like uh, give you some recommendation. I think from the whole AWS point of view. Let me cross check. So AWS Security Hub. So AWS Security Hub. AWS with a comprehensive view of your security state in AWS. So check your environment against security standards. So this is wrong. And KMS. KMS is a key management service. So whenever you store the data, you can use the KMS to encrypt the data. So D looks okay. So let's go to the next. Which characteristics are advantage of the AWS cloud? So if we are using the AWS cloud, what are the advantages? Choose two. 100% SLA of all the service, totally wrong. There is no 100% SLA for all the service. Compute capacity that is adjusted on demand, definitely correct. As soon as if we need more CPU, we can like increase as per demand. So availability of AWS support for code deployment, no. Enhanced security, definitely correct. Increased cost, no, even the cost get decreased. So B and D looks okay. A user is storing object in Amazon S3. The user need to restrict the access to the object to meet compliance obligations. So they are storing the object in S3, but they want to restrict the objects. How they can restrict? Using the AWS secret manager? No. Using the security group? No, nothing, no security group concept, no network ACL concept. So only one option left, that is the tagging. So if you see, if we are tagging to the S3 object, so how we can like restrict? Definitely just by the tagging, we can't restrict. But if we add the tag to the objects, and then we can write the policy, and we can write the policy in such a way, like if the like object has this tag, S3 has the tag, then we will give the read permission, we will not give the delete permission. So by using the tag we can give. So B looks correct, D doesn't look correct, and 62% people voted for the B. And let's see if someone like so some people, one of the people gives some link, so let's try to look at this link. So that is the object tagging. So object tagging is just a key value pair. Okay, so here it is mentioned in the additional benefit of the tagging. Object tags enable fine-grained access, control, or permission. For example, you could grant an IAM user grant to read only object with specific tag. So just by adding tags, we can't like control. But if we add the tags, then we can like define the policy, and define the policy in such a way, if the object has this tag, then we will give the read permission. So this looks correct. 77 B. A company wants to convert video files and audio files from their source format into a format that will play on smartphone, tablet, and web browser. Which AWS service? So recognition is wrong. Recognition just to like recognize some persons from images. Glue is a like ETL pipeline. Comprehend is a like a natural language processing. So we have so many documents, it will like give some comprehensive information. Elastic transcoder, so transcoder, even by just looking at the keyword transcoder, it will translate. So what this will do, you have some audios, videos in your S3 bucket, but we know like for every phone, like some phone will support MP3, some phone support AVB format. So if we use this service, what it will do, it will take the file from your S3 bucket and convert in your own format, whatever you want, as per the smartphone, tablet. So A looks correct, transcoder. So A looks correct. Which of the following are the benefit of the Amazon EC2 auto scaling? So what is the benefit of auto scaling? So improve health and availability of application. Totally correct, because like auto scale means like the application will be highly available. Reduce network latency, no. Optimize performance and cost. So definitely correct, because if we, let's suppose there are two EC2 are running, if we need only one, then as per the auto scaling, it will reduce. So it will reduce the cost. So automate snapshot, wrong. Cross region application also. A and C looks correct. So A and C, they said B is wrong, but A and C looks correct, and the most of the people voted for the A and C. A company has several departments. Each department has its own AWS account and its application. Okay. The company wants all AWS cost on a single invoice. If they have so many AWS account and they want only single invoice, then you guys the AWS organization, because in the AWS organization, only one invoice will be generated. But the company wants to keep the cost for each department. Okay, this department has this cost, this department has this cost. Which AWS tool? So saving plan, wrong. Saving plan is just like whenever you are purchasing EC2, so which plan you want to do. Budget is for the alert. AWS cost and reports will give you the just the report. So here is like consolidated billing. So consolidated billing is, if you use the AWS organization, it will generate a consolidated billing for the whole organization, but it doesn't mean it will not show you like which account, which AWS account has like use like which amount of like money. So B looks correct. So that's the end of the video. So thank you.